Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, and welcome back to the Operation Hill 100 Hearts channel where we do what? Focus on healing, humor, and hot motherfucking topics. Ladies and gentlemen, good to be here. Good to be here. I just wanted to come give you guys an update because remember I told y'all that I was gonna watch this whole Princess Love and Carlos King interview. So I watched it today and I have all the deets for y'all. So before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, please hit the thumbs up. Please hit the thumbs up on this video. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. And we are going to get into some things because I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. And it furthermore lets me know how much Pricky is my motherfucking girl. Okay, give me 2 seconds and we're going to get started. Here we go. So the interview started off with Carlos King letting Princess know, like, you my crush. You know I love you, girl. I think you are one of the most beautiful women in the world. I have a huge crush on you. He was like, yes, I'm openly gay, but if I could exclude any women, it would be you, Toya Johnson, Savannah James, Portia Williams. I was like, okay. I was kind of here for Carlos rundown. It seems like he's into the brown skin, more chocolate ladies, caramel skin rather. Anywho, I thought it was so sweet, so nice, right? And she was like, no, I like you as well, Carlos, not sexually, of course, but I think you're very cool. That's what made me feel open to do this interview because he was like, I know you don't give anybody interviews. And she was like, absolutely not. I really see no reason to do it. I really don't see how it helps me. So I normally don't do it. But I like you. I like your vibe. I think you're a nice person. So I'm like, okay, I ain't got no issue with doing this. So now when he hears that, he drops down on one knee, acts like he's giving her a promise ring, saying, will you marry me? I love you, yada, 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 right? So you know what I liked about Princess, which is what I've always liked about her. She's incredibly humble. She's incredibly humble. So she wasn't up there like, yeah, I know I'm a shit because he asked her. He was like, well, you're so gorgeous. Do you sometimes walk past the mirror and be like, yeah, you that motherfucking girl, right? So she was like, of course, when I get dressed up, I say to myself, yeah, girl, you looking good. She was like, but to sit around and like gloat over my aesthetic, no, I really don't. I don't think I'm an ugly girl, but I also don't think I'm the prettiest one in the room either. But I do know that I do have assets that I bring to the table. So I was like, all right, Pricky, that's why you my girl. So, anywho, she was also saying that so the next thing she was like, Carl was like, let's get into some things. He was like, I always like to start off with people upbringing, like where did you grow up, how did you grow up, so on and so forth. So she was saying that she grew up in Oakland. She was born in Oakland. She said she originally was born in Oakland, California, of course. And she was like in her teenage years, she moved to Texas. And then she was like, after Texas, she moved to Vegas. And then after Vegas, of course, it was LA. Right. She said she's Filipino and black, and her parents are divorced. Her parents divorced when she was 5 years old, but she more so gravitated towards her black side. She was like, because for that whatever reason, her Filipino side wanted to make it clear that yeah, you're of us, bitch, but you're also black as well. She was like, so for her, the gravitational pull came more towards her black side, right? She said during her teenage years, she started cutting up. And she was like, her dad lived in Texas. So her mother was like, you know what? I think you need to go stay with him for a little while to get yourself together. So she was like, she went to stay with her dad. And when she got there, her dad lived on one block and her aunt lived around the corner. And she said her aunt had kids that were her age, and plus it was a woman in the household. So she was like, I want to go around there to my aunt's house. She was like, and then eventually she started staying with her aunt. And she was like, she just liked it over there. Her aunt raised her. But, she was like, of course, my dad was always around the corner. I could always go home, but I just liked it better at my aunt's house with my cousins. And she said that aunt actually passed away, right? So Carlos asked, he was like, well, listen, are you and your dad close? And she was like, we're friendly. So he was like, really? So she was like, yeah, I mean, just because of his personality, we're not close, but we are friendly, right? So Carlos was like, so then that means that you wouldn't consider yourself a daddy's girl. So she was like, no, I wouldn't consider myself a daddy's girl or a mama's girl. And when she said that, then she said after that, she was like, and I'm an only child, so I just pretty much did my own thing, right? And as soon as Princess said that, I got automatically sad for her. I got sad for her because I was like, number one on the list, I believe that you're supposed to be somebody's baby always, right? I don't care who you are, how old you get. It's just my belief that you should always be somebody's baby, right? On top of that, I also believe that, it should always be at least one of your parents because, parents give you that unconditional love. You can go other places, even to aunts and uncles, and they would love you. But, sometimes They don't have as much patience and care and compassion for you as the person who either birthed you or helped bring you into this world, right? And because again, I'm very, very close to my aunts. I am extremely close to my aunts, right? But I've always had my mom. I've always had my mom, right? So, and it's just certain things that your parents do for you that nobody else in the world is going to do for you. So when she said that she was nobody's baby, like, or, that saddened me. Also because she's an only child. So I kind of felt like even if you were with your mom and your dad's baby, then it would be like, but I always had an older sister that looked after me who I felt like I could do no wrong in her eyes, or, things like that. But she didn't say anything about that. She did say she loved the aunt that she was raised by, but that was pretty much it. She didn't have really much insight about the aunt, right? So that she said she stayed in Texas. I mean, she was there in Texas. She was like, she was bullied as a teenager. She was like, girls would pick on her for no reason. What I loved about this segment was that Carlos tried to segue her into the whole, maybe they were picking on you because you were so beautiful. And she was like, listen, I don't know about if it was all of that. I just know they was picking on me and I was standing my motherfucking ground. And I like that because most times, I'm not going to lie, I do see aesthetically pleasing people, men and women, try to lean on their looks for every little thing that happens to them, right? She was just basically saying that, I'm not saying it was because of the way I looked, because I don't know if that's what they felt, but I do know that they was trying to bully me and I was not having that shit. She was like, so I was fighting. I was fighting. I was telling them, meet me at the park. It's going down. So I was cracking up at that part, but you could see in her, she had some feistiness in her, right? So she was like, then she went to high school. She graduated high school and she started working for a pharmaceutical company. So she was like, she basically started living like a grown person. She started working for the pharmaceutical company. She got her car. She got an apartment. She's working overtime, yada, yada, yada. She was like, but in doing so, she was looking around like, why am I living like I'm 40 years old and I'm only like 20? She was like, so no. I need to shift some of these things. So she said she quit the job. She gave up the apartment and she started going to TSU. She was like, because she wanted to further her education. So she enrolled in Texas State University. She was like, she didn't end up graduating. She dropped out her junior year, right? She was like, and in all fairness, school has really always came very easy to me. I always had a high GPA. She was like, but for whatever reason, I just couldn't continue with it every time I tried. She said, and I tried quite a few times to finish my education. She was like, but you know what? Life kept getting in the way. She said, but either way, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it because I plan on getting my degree in business and marketing. I just don't know when it's going to be, but it's something on my list that I have to get done, right? So that she brought up, he was like, well, were you dating at this time? And she was like, yeah, I had a high school sweetheart. His name was Dennis. He was cool. I still see him around if I'm in Texas, so on and so forth. Um, she said, so that he was asking, he was like, well, how did you get introduced to the world of entertainment, right? So she was like, do you mean how I got introduced to TV or just entertainment, period? So she was like, well, I got introduced to the public from dating Floyd. She said, because one day I was a nobody, and then the next day I had all these freaking followers. And I'm like, who the fuck are these people and why they worried about what I got going on? She was like, but of course that came with the territory with dating Floyd Mayweather. So she was like, to this day, she loves and respects Floyd. So that she talked about how they met. She was like, listen, I had a boyfriend when I met Floyd, right? He knew I had a boyfriend, so we became friends, right? She said she discovered that the guy that she was dating at that time had a baby 2 months after he had the fucking baby. So she was like, absolutely not, right? So she was like, but she was still trying to stay there and stick it out with the guy, but she was building her friendship more with Floyd as time went on, right? She was like, and then in all fairness, one of the things that she said, and I put this on the thumbnail because this is very relatable to me, when she brought up that she was still trying to stick it out with the guy, she said, well, you know what? I'm the type of person that when I'm in a relationship, I try to stick in it as long as I can until I can't anymore, right? And I swear to God, as soon as Pricky said that, I was like, girl, all this interview is doing is confirming why you my god sister in my fucking head, because I'm the same. I'm the same. And I feel like that's why every time I'm no longer with a person anymore, they saying I'm cold and I never really loved them, because I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm 10 toes down, stand up in it. I'm in it. But then when I can't take it no more, I'm out of it. And I think people, I'm so, when I'm in it, I'm such a heavy force that when I check out, you don't see any of that force anymore. And people struggle with that. So they start to wonder if that force was ever really there in the first place, if I'm making sense. And I'm like, no, it was there. It was there. Like Tricky's, like Princess said, I stuck in it. I thugged it out until I could not no more. And that's just my personality. Like I can be in it 10 toes down, full fledged. But once it gets to that point where I'm out of it, I don't know what to tell you because you don't get the same me, right? So anyway, she was like, and at that time she was very vulnerable. So it was easy for her and Floyd to build that relationship. She needed a shoulder to cry on. And she basically said, well, also Floyd needed something too, because at that time he was getting incarcerated. So I was like, wow, you know what's so crazy? I don't remember this. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't remember when Floyd got locked up, but apparently that's what was going on. And I don't know. I don't remember none of this. So when she was talking about Floyd getting incarcerated, I was a little lost, but I guess that's also too. Remember, I didn't keep up with Floyd, so I couldn't tell you what the hell Floyd had going on in his life. But in any event, she was like, that was a vulnerable time for him too, because he was going to prison. So she was saying, and throughout that time, like when he was incarcerated, that's how their friendship grew. So she was like, he was in his vulnerable place. I was in my vulnerable place. We was in that vulnerable place together. And that just helped for us, right? She was like, so the Floyd that everybody knows now, right? I don't particularly know that Floyd. I know the Floyd that just was grateful to get a cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to know the Birkin bag $1 million Floyd initially, right? So she was like, and that helped their relationship grow. I want to say that was 3,000,000% relatable to me, because I believe that's what helped the current relationship that I'm in grow. I knew my boyfriend prior to his incarceration, but we didn't get a chance to grow in our relationship until he was incarcerated, right? And it's something about that isolated space that helps people kind of center and focus on what they really want, because they don't have many distractions. And for him, he was in that vulnerable space of being incarcerated. For me, I was in on my healing journey where I was kind of sort of isolating and learning and growing myself. So it helped us build what Princess was saying her and Floyd built was such a strong friendship, which, like she said, to this day, right now, she still speaks of Floyd. They still have a good relationship, right? So anyway, she was like, one thing about Floyd was honest. She said, when Floyd came home, I met Money Mayweather, okay? And all of that bravado that comes with him, I was introduced to him, is introduced to that person as soon as he came out the jailhouse. She was like, but one thing, he never was disrespectful to me. He never was dishonest. He told me, like, listen, I'm going to have as many women as I can afford. Right. And she was looking like, oh shit. Okay. And she was like, she tried to continue to deal with him, because of the friendship, but she just knew that whole having all of these women, and that wasn't going to work for her. And she was like, no, she don't mean like having all these women, like when she go in the bathroom, she look up and somebody in the bed with him. No, she was like, it would just be little things like his female assistant, the masseuse, the nail tech, all of these people I knew liked him, or he had some kind of dealings with them. And although she never physically seen it, she knew, she could sense the energy. And she was like, she just knew at some point that would be too much for her, right? So she was like, but in all fairness, Floyd never lied about having a lot of women and so on and so forth. That's just his personality, right? She said, but he also made it clear that he wasn't interested in monogamy. And she was like, that led her to think about the reality of them being together, because for her, she wants family, she wants marriage, she wants children, she wants monogamy. And Floyd is looking like, I want you, I just don't have time for all of that. Right. So that segued her into talking about how she met Ray J. Hold on, you guys. I think I have pics of Ray. And Ray. Ray, hold on. She said her and Floyd were together 2 years, and she basically just shared with him that, listen, we're going in two opposite directions, right? And I don't know what to do with that opposite direction, but it's not really where I want to go. So because it's not really where I want to go, I just kind of think we need to go on and part ways. And I think she was trying to say, like, Floyd pretty much thought it was a game. And I could see Floyd thinking that, because like she said Floyd took care of her. She said Floyd took excellent care of me. You know what I'm saying? So he bought me cars. He got me apartments. So he paid my bills. So I could see him thinking like I was BSing about moving away from him because, look at all the things he's doing for me and look at the beautiful friendship that we had. She was like, but once again, I just honestly, I couldn't see myself having a future with a man who couldn't be monogamous and who couldn't have a family and so who couldn't be a family man and so on and so forth, right? She was like, she doesn't regret getting with Ray. She said what happened was she kind of didn't close the door all the way on her and Floyd, meaning she left him thinking that, oh, we're just taking a break. Meanwhile, she knew it was over, and then she ended up dealing with Ray J. She was like, and what happened was she went away for the weekend on Ray J, and next thing she knows, she was on media takeout. She was like, and technically she was pretty much over with Floyd, but you know how that go when it's still a little sticky situation. What Pricky gives me that she does, and again, this is relatable to me as well, is what they call it saying is the only way to get over a man is to get under a new one, right? And I know it sounds crazy, but it's very relatable to me, and let me explain why, right? Once again, like I told y'all earlier, I'm in it until I'm not, right? So for me, I don't normally just cut people off immediately, right? I give warnings, right? So I'm like, hey, I didn't like this. Hey, that wasn't cool. Hey, you need to do something about that, right? Once I get to a point that I see that you're not taking heed to what I'm saying, I'm already like kind of mentally breaking up with you, right? Mentally and emotionally, I'm breaking up with you. More than likely, I didn't kind of already physically broke up with you because once I'm not in it mentally and emotionally, I don't know how you're gonna get no pussy. Maybe you're gonna rape me, God forbid, because I don't know what to tell you after that, right? So once I start doing that, my mind starts opening up to, other things, right? So if there was a guy that I used to see before and never paid no mind because I was going with you, I might start to pay him some mind because he's handsome now. And in my mind, I kind of really don't go with you. I know this sounds crazy, right? But I'm just giving you my logic, right? Okay, I'll give you a clear cut example of what happened. And it has to do with my current relationship. My boyfriend, I've known him since 2007, right? And we've always flirted. I was single the entire time we flirted. But in 2010, I got into a kind of heavy situationship. I am the type of person that I'm not going to sleep with one person, more than one person at a time. I would date as many as I fucking can, right? But when it comes down to actual sex, no, I'm only going to have one partner. Now, if I'm in a relationship, I'm only going to date and have sex with one person. But when I'm not in a relationship and, I'm human and horny, I would still sleep with somebody. It just would be one particular person. So from 2010 to 2012, I was in a very heavy situationship, meaning like we did almost everything except say we were a couple, right? Which in my mind was like, okay, let's rock and roll. But the only issue was that towards like the end of 2011, he started playing himself. And again, I started mentally checking out because I had been warning him for months that this was my issue. Now, again, like I said, I've always known Pookie. I've always flirted with Pookie, but nothing's never happened. But now I have more time to entertain the idea of actually messing with Pookie because I'm about to come about this situation, right? So what ended up happening was I came about that situation for real in November. I gave my body some time to decompress and release all of the energy from that other person. And by March, I was up on the Pookie. Listen, it is what it is. So when Princess was saying that, I was saying I get where she's coming from, which was like, I'm done with you, Floyd. I still fuck with you because you cool, but I'm low key done with you. And now I'm over here with Ray, and this is what I'm doing. What's up? So, like she said, she was like, she could have did it a little bit in a more neat way. But in any event, she was like, really and truly, I kind of felt like I knew Ray J was going to be my man. So it wasn't like I was just moving on to screw somebody new. No, I always knew that I wanted Ray J to be my man. She was like, because we was cool. So I'm a relationship kind of girl. So I wasn't really like just going off and doing any old thing, right? But like I said, she said her and Floyd are still friends to this day. She said she just actually spoke with him a day before this interview. And she also said that she sees him. So Carlos King was like, when the last time you saw him? So Ricky was like, I see him at the strip club in Vegas. So Carlos was like, well, do you see him with the new woman that looked like Kim Kardashian? So you could tell Princess still liked Floyd because she was like, he don't be with her. So Carlos was like, oh. She was like, at least when I see him, he don't. So you could see it's still some feelings there, right? So anywho, Carlos brought up the Club Shay Shay interview that Ray J did. I did not watch that because Ray. I just can't take Ray sometimes. So I didn't watch the interview. But according to Carlos, there was some situation where Ray J kind of presented to Shannon Sharpe that him and Floyd Mayweather had like some sword fighting over Princess to see who she was going to choose, and she ended up choosing Ray. Right? Princess was like, "That's some fucking bullshit. Ray is an actor, and he's fucking lying." She said, "Floyd knew I wasn't happy, and I was on my way out. I told him, and I left." Right? It's just that once again, I didn't fully close the chapter where like I ain't see him in months, so he thought it was a game, and then he also wasn't happy about it because him and Ray J were acquaintances. She said, "But I had every intention on being with Ray. So it was like, listen, I'm getting into my relationship and I can't worry about what you think because I'm not with you no more." Right. And she was like, so he asked, he was like, would you have taken Ray J so seriously, had you known what you know now? And she was like, absolutely not. She said, but you got to remember, I was 26 years old when I got with Ray, and my mind was so focused on like family and children and so on and so forth. She was like, and you got to remember, Ray comes from a good family. She saw potential in him. She said him and her had a good friendship, so she felt like she was making the right decision. So Carlos was like, well, did Ray J sweep you off your feet? She was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She said he had to grow on me, and I felt like he had potential in all the other things that I told you I felt. So we went from there. But to lie and tell you that Ray swept me off my feet, she was like, no, 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 no. None of that was present. I love Ray. Ray's a good person, and we had a good time. But to lie and tell you that Ray swept me off my feet, that's not what happened, right? So then he started asking about the family dynamic. He was like, so what's up with you and Sonya? Because I know, from Love and Hip Hop and stuff, you guys look a little rocky. So she was like, no, me and Sonya good now. Me and Sonya good now. She was like, one of the main reasons I feel like we're good is because I can now see as a mother how and why she's so protective over her children, their little bubble. And, I get all of that now being a mom myself. Right. She was like, but we did bump heads, for a long time. She said, but within the last 2 years, I can honestly say me and Sonya are good. Me and Sonya are good. Me and Brandy are good. She was like, and we're even good whether I'm with Ray J or not. So that means a lot to me. Right. So she was like, and then another thing was too, like, the number one, they don't have no choice but to accept me because I'm their grandkids and nieces and nephews' mother. She was like, and then another thing is too, I wasn't really putting too much stock into being liked, right? I was showing up being myself, and if they like that, wonderful. Let's build relationships. And if they don't, oh well, I won't have to come around. But what I'm not going to do is show up trying to kiss their ass and shape and change myself for them. I couldn't do that. She was like, so I showed up being me, and eventually that worked for me, right? So they was like, Carlos was like, well, let's talk about Love and Hip Hop. So she was like, I never wanted to do this shit. I never wanted to do Love and Hip Hop. She said, I was absolutely petrified. I never wanted to do Love and Hip Hop. She said, but Ray was already on there. They was talking a good price. Mona was in my ear. So I'm like, okay, let's go. Right. So he was like, so let's talk about when you got pushed in the pool. She was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So he was like, why? She was like, no, that shit is so embarrassing to me, right? But then she segued into talking about it anyway. And she was like, listen, first of all, I realize now looking back at it that Ray J is a producer, right? And Carlos King was like, yes, he is. And she was like, in those moments, he was trying to produce me. So what he was doing was trying to create a TV worthy moment. So now he's trying to do things to ignite the fire. And I'm not realizing that he's just trying to gaslight me. I'm just getting pissed because I feel like he's trying to fucking play me. So in those moments, you're getting my normal reaction, how I would have reacted if no cameras was around. She said, on top of that, I was drunk as a fucking skunk because I knew he was filming and I was nervous. Right. So she was like, it just was a terrible moment in time, and it embarrassed me because it was a very vulnerable moment. Like, that wasn't for TV, that was really me, right? And she was like, had I known what I know now, I would have never let Ray J get that reaction out of me. I'd be like, all right, fuck you, go about your business. But he was getting my raw emotion in the moment because I don't give a fuck about these cameras. I'm pissed, embarrassed, and hurt. Right. So then Carlos asked her about what happened between her and Morgan, Ray's old assistant, when they was on Love and Hip Hop. And she was like, Morgan was just a phony ass bitch. She was like, she was Ray's assistant. Remember, I don't have any siblings of my own. So when women come around and they give me a good vibe, I automatically gravitate towards them. And she was like, I really trust Morgan. I really liked her. So I started sharing secrets with her. And, we were building our friendship. And I felt like she really liked me. She was like, but the moment that they got on TV, Morgan started doing bullshit. She was like, and I want to slap the shot at her for a long time. And Ray J kept telling me, chill, 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 chill. So when she was getting spicy at the reunion and he was no longer holding me on that leash and he let me go, I dived on that bitch. I was like, oh shit. She was like, but in those moments, I got to see that everybody on that show was a castmate. Nobody there was my friends, right? So then she said, like, case in point, like, we all the women on the cast, like me, Hazel, Tiara, we all went to dinner one time. She was like, already at dinner, and Tiara Marie was saying that she was going to Drake's house. After dinner. So she also was saying that she didn't have a ride. So Pricky was like, well, I'll give you a ride if you need one. So she said she went, she dropped Tiara off at Ray J's. I mean, you hear me, at Ray J's. She dropped Tiara off at Drake's. She actually went inside to have a drink. She said hello to people, and then she got on about her fucking business. She said the next day she wake up to Ray confront her, talk about what she was doing at Ray J house. You was trying to suck PV, blah, 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 blah. You were there for Drake. And she's like, no, I was not there for Drake. I went and dropped somebody off. She was like, but she know where that came from. Tiara went back and told somebody, even if she didn't tell Ray J, she told somebody and they told Ray. And she was like, it was like, why you did that? I thought we was trying to build a relationship and be cool. But the only thing I didn't understand about this, right, is Carlos was asking her, like, why did she think that Tiara did that? And Princess kept dancing around and said things like, well, I don't know, and I don't understand it. I don't know what the problem is. It's because you were friends. And I'm thinking to myself, because y'all know I done seen every goddamn episode of Love and Hip Hop. I'm saying, Princess, tell the real reason why she did it. She used to be Ray bitch before you was, and Ray was acting like he was all in love with you and acting like she was non-existent. And when she thought she had some dirt on your ass, she wanted to throw it in Ray's face so she could laugh at him and say, look at this bitch, you claim you love her so much, and look how she playing in your motherfucking face with Drake. So that's why she put the rumor out there. I just didn't understand why why Princess wouldn't just say that instead of acting like she didn't know why Tiara did it. But hey, whatever, right? So anyhow, I guess maybe too she didn't want to talk too much about Tiara. That would have made sense as well. Anywho, she said her and Hazel E are cool. They play with the kids together, blah, 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 right? So then Carlos brought up this. I never heard this, but apparently this was said. Carlos said that a couple of weeks or months ago or something like that, Whack 100 had put out there that T.I. and Ray J was in discussion about doing a wife swap. Meaning, like, I guess T.I. could have some time with Princess and Ray J could have some time with Tiny. So Princess was like, what? First of all, that's bullshit, right? She said, let me just clarify so we never have to talk about this again. Me and Ray J have never been swingers. We've never had a conversation about sleeping with another couple. That's just never been our thing, right? And I respected the fact that she clarified that, because I hate when people beat around the bush. And she said, and again, I don't even think, if I'm being honest, Ray J and Tip had that motherfucking conversation, because Tip and Ray J are not even friends, right? Only thing I did find a little fishy about that statement is I would have rather she said, I don't think they had that conversation, because Ray J know he can't force me to do a motherfucking thing I don't want to do. She didn't say that, so I was kind of peeking, but I got where she was coming from. And I love the fact that she clarified, listen, I'm not here for that bullshit. Don't put me in that bullshit, right? Carlos then asked the famous question that everybody wants to know the answer to. He's like, listen, I know y'all filed 345 times for divorce. So what is making this time any different from the last 600 times that y'all filed, right? So she said, you know what, Carlos, the reality of the situation is this time around, I didn't do it out of anger. Right. She was like, I'm tired. She was like, I'm a lover. I like to be in love. I like exclusivity. I just need the real family dynamic, and I need a man that respects me. and I deserve better for myself. And she said, Ray is the total opposite, and we are living two totally different lives. She was like, and to be honest, I don't have an ounce of faith that Ray J will change. She said, and I'm not going to sit around and wait for that any longer. I was trying to keep it together for the family. I was trying to keep it together before because I loved him. I was trying to keep it together because I thought he had potential. But as time goes on, I see that he is not changing and I'm no longer waiting. And she said, Carlos asked if she thought he had been unfaithful in the marriage, and she was like, 100%. She was like, I know he was unfaithful in the marriage. I have proof. He'll never admit it to me, but I have proof. Right. And she was like, listen, I have emotionally checked out. She said, none of his antics surprise me anymore. She said she is no longer in love with Ray, and she hasn't been for the last 2 years. Now, Ray, I want to say this, right? You know Princess better than any of us, so I could be wrong, but I'm going to tell you a clear cut indication that your ass might be out. Princess eyes ain't well up. Princess ain't shed no tear. Princess voice did not crack. One thing about us women, when we are going through an emotional situation, meaning that our feelings are entangled in something, I don't give a damn if it's a job. If you know you put your heart and soul in a job and you realizing that you no longer work there, I don't care what type of woman you are, there will be some emotion felt and it will show up on you. When I tell you, Princess said all of the shit I just said, she said with a straight face. I was like, yeah, Ray, I think you done fucked up. I think you done fucked up, Ray J. I really, really do, because my girl ain't shed one motherfucking tear. Then she said, but in all fairness, I'll be very honest. Ray J is still my friend. We still can make each other laugh. We co-parent very well. And I'm not disappointed. I'm just done. Because that's not enough for me to be married to him. I'm sorry. She said, and another part of me feel like all this happened for a reason. If nothing else, I got my two beautiful kids. I'm good on Ray. I was like, Lord. So then Carlos King brought up the leaked audio from this happened a couple of months ago. I seen this, but I didn't pay it no mind. It was Ray J talking to the kids, and the cops was called, and all this bullshit, right? So, she was like, this is what happened, which Ray's, once again, he's an actor, right? She said, they're now, remember, she filed for divorce. They quote unquote not together. She was like, but in all fairness, we both at that time was doing little petty shit, even though we're claiming they're not together. This time it was his turn. So he went through my phone. She was like, so when he went through my phone, he saw that I had been texting folks. And again, it's gonna be a trigger for you, because no matter if we're saying we're not together, bitch, I don't want you texting nobody, right? So she was like, he started trying to argue and fuss about the texting, and she looking at him like, Ray, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear that shit. I do what the fuck I want, and you're not gonna aggravate me, right? So she said he started yelling and screaming and trying to make a big deal out of it. And she was like, you know what? You're not going to do that here. You're not going to do that here. So she said she closed the door and all of that. And he still was out there hooting and hollering. So she said, my kids is in here. I'm going to call the fucking cops. Right. So she said she actually called the cops. She said, but when she called them, she was telling them, listen, he doesn't need to be arrested. He just needs to be removed, because he's not going to be here hooting and hollering and my kids is trying to rest. She said, in the meantime, in between time, he's still out there yelling, hooting, and hollering. She said she locked him out the room, and then the kids woke up. She said, so when the kids wake up and now the cops arrive, of course, the kids are looking at the commotion. They're like, what the hell? She said, so that's when he pulls out the phone and start recording. And she was like, because for him, he's an actor, a producer, and everything is content. And she was like, that shit pissed me off, because now you putting a narrative out there that's not true, because nobody knows the real story. And I'm not putting anything out there to clarify it. Right. So she was like, that's just the things that he does, which once again irritates me, and it lets me know he's not going to change. Right. So then she did share, yes, she did sign a prenup. She said she will be requesting alimony and child support. She was like, but this is taking a very, very long time, because the divorce is dragging out because they haven't reached an agreement. And I know this process all too well. But anyway, she said that Ray has always paid the bills, but she can afford to take care of herself. And at this point, she will be doing so. So once the divorce is final, she will be leaving the home that he pays the bill and to get the bills and to get her own home to pay her own bills. Because at this moment, the only thing she is craving is peace, safety, and for her children to be happy. Right. So Carlos asked, he was like, do you think Ray is in fear of never allowing you to be with another man peacefully? And Princess was like, no, Rachel don't give a fuck. She was like being really honest. I don't think Ray, listen, Ray's not that type of person. He's not gonna stress that too much. She said what I do think will be an issue is him having to accept the reality that I'm really gone. Because, she gave me the impression that he'll think like, oh, this is temporary. I'm gonna let her do her. She said, I don't know if what he's gonna do once he realizes that I'm really, really going this really, really over. Right. She said she's not dating at the moment currently. She said that she was just getting to know somebody. She was like, but truth be told, I thought about it and I'm like, I just want to be single. I just want to be single. She's like, first of all, I've never been single before, right? She said, I'm a relationship kind of girl, so I've always been in relationships, right? She said she doesn't mind dating regular guys. That's actually who she was getting to know. One of them was just a regular guy. She was like, the only issue with regular guys is they're not really Googleable. So she was like, so you don't kind of don't know who they are. She said, when you're dating a celebrity or entertainer, you go Google them and see their whole life story. She said, a regular guy, you can't see them what they got going on the internet. So they can have a whole family behind your back and you won't know. So she was like, that's the only thing she kind of doesn't like about it. But she was like, other than that, for the time being, she's just focusing on being single. And, Carlos started giving her flowers. He was like, as a wife or mom and a businesswoman, I think that you're beautiful, you're successful. And I just want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. I want you to have all your heart's desires. And at this point, it looked like Princess was getting emotional because she kept like dabbing her eyes and stuff at that point. But once again, no tear didn't come down. Her eyes didn't well up, but she was dabbing like they was like tears was coming to her eyes. And I guess in that moment, maybe she appreciated Carlos giving her flowers. And one of the things I liked was that Carlos was trying to say, like, he wanted her to be happy and everything. He was like, and I also feel like you're exhausted. And she was like, Carlos, no, I'm not. Let me correct you there. I'm not exhausted. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. She said, because I'm finally secure enough in who I am to be single and be okay with that. She was like, and then another thing is in that secured space, I'm not here for no bullshit and I'm not allowing no bullshit. Once you come in with bullshit and confusion, you gotta go. You have to go. It has to feel right and it has to make sense. And when it doesn't matter who it is or what it is, it has to go. Right. So I was like, go on, Pricky. So Carlos asked her, he was like, so if your future husband was watching this interview right now, what would you want to say so they can know what they need from you? So she was like, truly, I need honesty. I need a sense of humor. I need a successful man. I need a family man. I need a man in good health. I need a trustworthy man and I need a supportive man. She said, but at the moment, I don't need no man, right? She was like, I just want to enjoy this time alone. I want to focus on being a mother. She said, I never had a nanny. I do not have a nanny. I take my kids to school. I pick my kids up from school. I'm in the PTA. I'm the parent leader of the classroom. Like, I'm really into being a mom. I'm really into opening up my nail salon business. I'm into playing poker. I'm into periodically filming for business opportunities, and I'm into traveling. She said, right now, I don't even really want to make no time for a relationship. I said, I know that's right. So then she talked about how important it is for her to be a mom. And she was saying that, it's the center of my world. She was like, it is literally the center of my world. She said, I don't know who I would be if I did not have my children. I would not be happy. She said, I will always feel like something is missing because that's how long I longed for them and yearned for them. She was like, so even with all of the red flags that Ray comes with, if nothing else, I can be grateful to him for my children because they are the best thing that's ever happened to me, right? So Carlos started giving her some advice on how to be single and happy because apparently he's single and claiming happiness. So So I didn't like that they saved it for the last 5 minutes of the interview because I wanted to hear more about it, but I got enough about it in that 5 minutes. And he started asking her about her poker lifestyle, right? So she was like, she learned how to play poker in November 2022. She said she won her first tournament in April 2023. She said, and then from there, she just started playing consistently. And more importantly, she started studying poker. She was like, so day in and day out, aside from being a mom and a businesswoman, that's what her life consists of, learning more and more about the game. She was like, because people don't understand, poker is not just cards. It's math, it's psychology, it's reading people, it's competitive. And she was like, she didn't have a hobby before this. She was like, so she loves it. It's intriguing. She gets to meet new people. And she was like, on top of all of those beautiful things, Carlos, I'm making a shitload of money. Right? She said, and last but not least, She was like, I don't know if people know it, but less than 5% of professional poker players are African Americans. So I also feel like I'm opening doors and breaking barriers. And you can honestly see Princess face light up when she talk about playing poker. You can see that that's what she loves to do. That's what she enjoys. And I felt happy for her. I felt happy for her because when you find what you love to do, what's my favorite saying? When you do what you love, you never work another day in your life. So I felt happy for Pricky because I do think that A, she deserves happiness, and B, happy that she found it. Come on, that shit is frustrating when you always trying to quote unquote figure things out. So I was very, very happy for her. And she seemed very genuine about everything that she was saying, right? So you could tell she was happy about it because then she says to Carlos, you want me to teach you how to play? So he was like, yes, 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 teach me. I would love to learn. So she was like, I'll do it. I'll really, really do it. So then they start closing the interview out. The last thing she said to him, she was like, listen, only favor I need for you to do for me is I want you to come to the grand opening of my new nail salon next month. She said it's in Sherman Oaks Galleria and it's called Prella Nail and Beauty Bar. And he was like, I will be there. So she didn't give an exact date. She just said February. Oh, I love this interview. I love, love, love this interview. I love Princess. I love Princess. I think she has a beautiful personality. I think she's a very genuine person, and I'm very proud of the mom she is. I love how much she loves her kids and take care of them. I like the way she's handling this whole Ray J situation and pressing forward. So it was a good interview. I'm going to link it in the description box here. You guys go watch it. It's on Carlos King's YouTube page, Reality with the King. Once again, I personally love Carlos's interview style. So I thought he did very, very well. I love that he lets the interviewee talk as opposed to talking over them or interrupting them. So I thought this was a really, really good interview. And because you don't get much interviews from Princess. So I thought it was excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, Dear Deidre dropped Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I hope you guys are caught up on all the Dear Deidres. Secondly, we will be doing Lit at 6 tomorrow, reality TV version. So I'm going to drop the link for that tonight. Let's see. We have some other things we need to talk about. We might segue into some other things for Lit at 6 too, because new things have been dropping. Your man Trump is teed the fuck up. Oh Lord, but we will discuss. In any event, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Before you go, please hit the like on this video. If you're new to the neighborhood, make sure your nosy ass subscribe. And I'm happy to have you here. Love that you tuned in. Hey Tifa girl, one of my faithful nosy neighbors. I'll see you on Lit at 6 and all the rest of you tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your evening.